Hi, friends. Welcome to another session of Her Music, an IPRS initiative in association with Dolby India and Artist Aloud. Today's guest is an enigmatic performer, a sensational singer, a promising songwriter, music creator, a powerhouse of talent, and doting mother, Manasi Scott. Hi, Manasi. Manasi, sorry.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to be a part of this. It's so music. I just heard IPRS, Artist Aloud. It's like everything music, independent music. Good to be
Great,
here.
great, great. So nice to have you here with us. Manasi, what we'd like to start off with is how did music happen to you? I've known that your parents were also into music. Both are musicians, right?
No, they were not musicians, but yeah, my dad did play the drums, and he was a singer all through college. Picked up the drum kit in one day apparently when he was 8 years old. But no, my parents were both doctors. They're both from Armed Forces Medical College, but mom sang through college. You know how you do those extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Mom's still the director of Pune Hospital right now. She's been on the front line throughout. My father passed away in 2018, but he retired as a general. He was the director general for the medical services for the army. I started singing in a singing competition in school in Bhutan when I was, I think my dad was posted there to Imtrat. I must have been 5.5 or 6 years old. And mom taught me an ABBA song on an LP called Move On. Very few people would have heard of that song. And as they say, the rest is history. Won every single singing competition from then on. Must have changed about 8 to 9 schools and colleges. Traveling with dad. But then he went off to Antarctica when we got to Pune in my ninth standard. So I ended up finishing school there, still singing. Never learned an instrument. Never learned singing. I was going to become a doctor and engineer. In fact, I did do my software engineering. I had a scholarship to MIT, to quite a few colleges, MIT included. And my dad just told me one thing: if all the good guys leave the country, what's going to happen to this country? Then I decided to join the Indian Air Force because I wanted to be Tom Cruise. And the singing had been carrying on. You know, I had my first band at that time in Pune when I was in
Darkwater
my 10th
fixation.
standard. Yes, we'll get to that also. But then he just looked at me and he said, do something in music. Don't join the Air Force. You'll be singing in a mess somewhere in the corner. You've got something about you that's present. By that time, I was already earning pocket money, hosting shows, singing in Pune, and of course, my first band, Darkwater Fixation. And I came to Bombay to Xavier's to do a postgrad in film and television production. Realized I'm much better in front of the camera than behind it. A series of internships, friends, connections led me to Hemant Trivedi. And those days there was no Bollywood in fashion. It was pure fashion. And as a singer and
Right.
someone who looked reasonably, we first face showstopper for him, for Nita Lulla. And very soon, from 2 songs in a fashion show, it became full-fledged concerts. And yeah, that's been the journey so far. And then, of course, my first album in 2005, and then many, many more.
Wow. So much you've done. You've achieved so much. So good to see this.
Oh yeah, this is
Okay. Now,
so much of is like an armed forces thing. I think my father kept me away from alcohol and drugs. And I had my first glass of wine when I was 29, because from morning to evening I used to get up. I was a national level player in many sports: basketball, horse riding, karate. So I'd wake up in the morning at 4:30, go horse riding, then go for basketball, then go to school, then do karate, then come back, do badminton. Typical armed forces life.
wow.
So yeah, I did everything. Life has been a big adventure. I've been very grateful for it.
Super, super. Since I mentioned about the dark water fixation, right? That was Puna's rock band, right? From Pune.
Not just Puna's very well-known rock band, I would say as far back as 93, 94, we were students in college and junior college and school. But also there used to be a beautiful venue in Pune called the Jazz Garden. We actually gig started it. I remember going for a date there with my then boyfriend and the late homie, God rest his soul, who owned the place. I think I was singing or we were just jamming, and he said, "Will you come and do shows here?" And that's how Darkwater Fixation was born. Of course, all my previous bandmates are all across the world now doing engineering jobs and other things. I'm the only one who stayed in music, so that's been a blessing.
And that, I think in 1990, Sony offered, international recording contract, right? That time.
Imagine, I mean,
Uh,
if I just had my band supporting me at that point in time, I think the parents of my bandmates were very, very afraid of my father. Though we were all minors, my father instantly signed permissions. We made a song, we made a beautiful original track, Ghar Pe Pata Nahi Wires Connect Kar Kar Ke. But my band let me down at that point in time. Their parents were just not confident of them getting into music, and the contract was for us as a band for Darkwater Fixation. But yeah, I think in time I've realized that everything happens for the best, and here I am. Don't know where I would have been had I taken up that, had we had the chance to take up that offer.
How was it at such a young age that you entered such the world of serious professional music and straight down? Was there so much a lot of thinking about doing it, or just happened? You just kept on doing it?
I think in those days it was tougher. I mean, if you look at the older people right now, it's you can process voices so much. You can put up something shot over and over again on YouTube. Those days you really had to be good. You had to own the stage. You had to fight for a place. You had to deserve to be there. And I think the entire process of doing so many extracurricular activities, from debating to, I was a straight A student, 93, 95, 93 throughout my life, because you change schools so often, you had to prove yourself, debating and singing, dancing, and all the extracurriculars. I think all of that just, उस जमाने में people used to say, oh, you become a jack of all trades and master of none. And today I laugh. I say, had to be the jack of all trades to be able to perform on stage because it requires voice, it requires presence, it requires everything I've learned in debating, everything I've learned with every stage performance that I've done, elocution, acting. Um, so it was much tougher then. It's not as easy as it is right now because even now, I know as the reality TV shows came in and the YouTube sensations came in, I've done shows, with a lot of them, and 20 minutes into their performance, the client sends them off and says, Manasi, can you come back and sing? So music has of course taken a drastic turn. I mean, everything is opened up, like, from all points. But it's still the older music that's making money. It's still the new music is like attention deficit disorder. It comes, it goes. But I think the one thing I that's helped me is not learning music because I've been learning an instrument because I can literally come up with a song second. We've got 3 records coming up with Anish Gera. I've got something that's coming up with Nanak and Mr. Doss. They'll tell you, like, in fact, one of the songs the first one that we're about to release with Anish was the first take. And he loved, like, it's literally the words that flew out when I was singing it. That's the take he's kept. He's not kept my studio dub later because it just had. So I think the advantage has been that I've never learned music and I continue to reinvent myself without having a genre. I have this 80s electronica that runs through my veins, which whether it's a ballad or a rock song or whatever else it is, I like to have that there, which is the last album with Ashish Manchanda, which is on Artist Aloud as well. I had Palash on it, I had Mika on it, I had Raghav Sachi, but everything was that 80s electronica, old school sound recorded on an SM58. So I'm trying to keep that that analog feel that I've grown up with, that I've brought. I'm trying to keep do justice to a single take, to not cutting and pasting, so that when I'm on stage, I do true by my song and by my audience. So it's a ever learning process. I think it's the youngest I've ever felt in my life. It's been quite the ride. What is it now? 21 years in the business almost, and it feels like I'm just starting out, and I think that's a blessing.
Wow. Manasi, you play the role of being a singer, songwriter, actor, host, and so many. How do you create a balance between being able to do? How do you manage, like, trying to do
There,
all the stuff?
there is no balance. I'm just really, really grateful for the work that comes in. So anything that comes to me as work, before lockdown, I would say that, okay, Parveen, if she's here on this webinar, she'll tell you we used to have a rate, we used to have a fee. During lockdown, we decided that times is so tough. As you know, I did 180 shows from home, and not just got onto social media and sang. I got dressed every day. I performed like it was a stage concert. Once you're grateful for what's coming your way, and once it doesn't feel like balancing so many different things. It was a little difficult in the songwriting space because I had to leave sessions in the middle when my son was younger because I'm a single mom. But now that he's in boarding and all through lockdown, he was so brilliant to be around because he would just give me my space. I would be working, I'd be figuring out things, and slowly and steadily I've moved into a space where I'm comfortable working with my child around, with him not around. I'm comfortable saying no. I'm comfortable, and I've always been a supercharged energizer bunny. Anyone will tell you. You know how people have alcohol to jump about. I have alcohol to go to sleep. So for me, it's like I'm constantly 24/7 on the go. In fact, my friend Chef Abrinder Sandhu asked my mom the other day that, in Punjabi, she said, every like throughout her childhood, mom said she's calmed down now. She was double this energy. So I think that never really makes me use words like balance, and I think it's something that that I think we need to even change as a dialogue. It's not about balance; it's about just being rock star women. There's so many single moms, so many people juggling, balancing so many things, and that's a narrative I'd like to change as well. That everything in life is balanced, of course, on a karmic level. But I think at the end of the day, it's just don't stop moving, get out, do everything you can, and you'll find that there's space for everything in your life then.
Perfect. Wow. Since you started so early, there was the whole Bollywood scene was different. There was
Yeah.
English music happening only in the certain area of the industry. Uh, Non-film music had started off, right? So that's where we got a chance to do stuff.
Yeah.
How did you manage to break through to be able to get into your Bollywood stuff also and this also? I think it must have taken time, and especially being a woman, at that time, were there any situations where it mattered?
Bollywood was the only way to go, unfortunately, at that point in time, the Indian film industry. And it's a very close-knit society. I mean, I did work with Salim Sulaiman, I did shows with them. Everybody knows I'm a great singer, but the industry depends on a music producer or a music director
Right.
giving you a song, which unfortunately, they're all friends of mine, has never come from any of them. Vishal, Salim, Sulaiman, if you're all listening. Strangely, I've just never had, I think we're very set in our ways of how we want a song to sound. I would go many times for songs that were given to me at a pitch which was far higher. Like, I remember going to Amit Trivedi's studio once. I was called last minute to do a song for Fitr, but the pitch was just, now people are waking up to this deep husky voice, but it's always been like this. But I'd be called to hit a pitch, though I can hit a Shreya pitch and a Sunidhi pitch. But then when you call into a studio to sing like another singer, I'm like, construct the song for me, construct it around me. So I have to say I was very, very grateful to Sanjay Gupta. I had just delivered my son. I think I was still 12 kilos overweight. He must have been a year old. And I started to compose with Ashish Manchanda, this album that I also released partly on Artist Aloud. And there was a song called Khatti Meethi. Initially, we called it Flaunt It, but it had part English, part Hindi lyrics. I'd written everything myself, composed it, and that's the album which changed my life as a singer because Ashish never let me cut and paste. I took about 3 to 4 years to put down vocals for 8 songs because every time I'd drop a note, I'd have to restart again. So there'd be days when you'd be singing 50 times, but you still wouldn't get a take. But today I thank him for it because it's made me a far stronger singer than I was. So he heard this and he took the song and it was brilliant. And he said he was, and the barter was that they would shoot a big video for me. And I remember going for the shoot for the video. Vida Samanzai was the model in it, and I just shot new pictures with Jatin Kampani. And Sanjay just took it was a Super Manma film, of course. Sanjay was the producer, and he just took one look at the pictures and said, "Okay, tomorrow you're coming for the shoot. You're in the video." I said, "What? Okay." Like, and then one of the biggest gifts to me was that he put the song as the only item number in the video, and it's a brilliant track. Unfortunately, it went to Jungle Music and not T Series. This is one film that didn't go to T Series, so didn't get the push that, of course, T Series beautifully does for all its artists. But 7 million, 9 million MSN viewers voted it to, no, 7 million MSN viewers voted it to be the #2 song of 2009, second only to a Shah Rukh and Priyanka song. So the shows just took off, because those were big numbers in those days. And then I did sing for a movie called Papu Kanda Ansala, which is a Neha Dhupia film. Did a song called Hayya Hayya. I did play back down south for Yuban Raja. South is amazing. You land at the airport, the money's given to you, and they make the songs around you. They're so advanced. But I have to say that I think it's not just. I think though the industry in India is very close knit, and you don't give newcomers a chance. You don't even try. You just want to be in that same mold, and which is why I love this new Deepika Padukone film Gehraiyaan, which completely nouveau sounds. So I'm hoping it changes, but I think it's great that there are indie sites and independent music has got the boost that it has because I've been creating since I was 14 years old. And it's great to be able to have a space that it can be released in, where in the early days you had to go to a music label, as I did for Nachle, which I had to compose except for the book. But I had to defend. BMG went bankrupt. BMG was bought over by Sony. Crescendo went bankrupt. And though I was on a 17-city world tour, nobody released my CDs. So at least now it's easier for an artist. I think consistency is the key if you're not as big, and that's what I'm getting to right now, singing, songwriting, being consistent with releases. So a lot of different things are happening right now. Yeah, I think the Indian film industry is always going to be huge and very close knit. But I think the directors have now, the music directors have gotten onto the bandwagon. They're not going to give a rock star a song because I'll take away 20 of their shows. So I think they want to just keep the best songs for themselves because everybody
Yeah,
loves performing on stage. I think that's the key right now. But in those days, yeah, it was very disappointing to not be called in for a song because you didn't sound like a Surabhi or a Shreya. I'm glad that's
yeah,
changed. I'm glad different voices are coming in. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever comes to me, I go and I sing and I give it my heart and soul. But yeah, that song has not happened. So I'm hoping it happens with my own music, which I'm happy doing.
yeah. And at those days, I think whoever was singing for Bollywood was was like a studio singer, right? They were not performers. That didn't happen that
Yeah,
time. The performers, there was
yeah,
uh, like like how you are there. There's so many others who had the skill of performing it on stage, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a major difference also of you being
That
able to do
I
both.
Yeah, sorry, to cut you. I'm not just being a performer on stage. People didn't even dress up for the stage. Like now I see people getting designers and getting. I was doing
Yeah,
this as one. Like now, and even now, I think what happens with an Indian performer on stage, the so-called Bollywood famous ones, is they, the connection I have with an audience, thankfully, and I think that's why I've survived the industry for so long. You are a star. But what I see most of the Indian and Pakistani artists doing is being a star on stage without connection. And I still think that they've not cracked. वो पुराने जमाने का सुरताल में ऐसे ही गाना है. Few people yeah perform right now. You enjoy watching. Vishal Dalani. He's incredible. Obviously, rock band background, and I think he's one of the incredible bridges between
yeah,
indie music and
right, right.
Bollywood. But yeah, I still think I'll give anybody a run for their money on stage. I don't think people have tracked the stage like I have. When you don't have money for a gigantic production behind you, when it's just you, the mic, and the stage. When people started doing all these big -1 shows, I deconstructed everything. I came back to just a piano and voice, which is one of the projects we're doing right now as well. Just voice and one instrument. Um, but yeah, the stage. If you ever have a show where I put myself against all our performers right now, I think I might stand a great chance of winning.
Okay. So you're like more of a piano person while composing, or a guitar, or so
No,
piano?
so because I don't play an instrument, I mean, I know my chord structures. I like to have, uh, I like bass. It gets me going. I like to have. I can start off on any chord. Like play a chord for me right now. I'll give you three different directions of songs, and my band will second that. I like to have some sort of a rhythm and bass arrangement with just a very
Nice.
basic bass line. That's what inspires me. But I've just finished composing for 5 different ad films. That's been ulta. I've actually gone into my studio partner Karan, and we had a brief. I literally hummed the tune on a phone, sent it to him, and he's Capricorn like me. He gets me like that. So we've done 2 ads for Asaram and the on Steel, the new Reliance Jewel. Bella is us. I've been singing, a lot of other. So people send me these long 35-line lyrics, and I can put it into song very easily. Did a song for Magnum as well. So for me now, I'm learning to just trust the voice and use it as an instrument. And I can hear the chords in my head, right? Initially, I used to say, okay, that chord like that, or this, or somebody had to give me a structure. But now I'm slowly gaining confidence, just saying, just humming a tune, sending it to them and saying, okay, I want this in bass, I want this in piano, I want this here. And luckily for me, I have a great team that completely understands my madness.
It's a blessing to be able to do that, And another thing is like it's so fascinating the whole art of composing that you could be starting off with the first thing being beat, or first thing just singing the
Yeah,
tune, or sometimes it could be another riff happening. It's really fascinating to be into this whole
it is.
composing
It is.
sector.
It is. But for me to start
And
off a song or to write, it's the easiest. It just comes to me like that. I have a lot of my musician friends who call me and say, okay, I have these chords, can you please give me a song? So I'll rattle it off. And ask Anisha, you ask Mr. Doss, we released High on Artist Aloud a few years ago. That lyric I came up with again in the first take. I heard the song, the melody was done, and literally in the first take I had the lyrics down. So I love working like that, and I think I'm beginning to realize that first take I give, the first idea in my head turns out to have the most feeling in it. as opposed to
Yeah.
going in the studio,
Correct.
dubbing.
Actually,
In
yes.
fact, when we were doing the remix on Amazon Prime, they told us to go into studio and record a rehearsal version for our tech runs. And I would see all these other singers going at it for 6 hours, 7 hours, recording and re-recording, and I would just go there, the song, I might deliver it in one take. As an audio process release, it might not be the greatest thing to have happened to me. So I've learned, because you never trust anybody, because they hear your track and they just release it because they think it's good. And they've not specified that, okay, this was a one-take live performance thingy, and they've used the fully processed versions of all the other singers. So when you put it up there, but slowly and steadily, I'm enjoying that, Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe of no processing, nothing, just flowing into my own voice. It's been a journey. It's taken me a long time to get there, but yeah, it is what it is.
Great. Okay. It's a fact that women are basically really good at multitasking. Uh, all the other new aspirant singers or whoever wants to do this in a very multifaceted career, what would your advice be to them as in your experience, your tips and suggestions, what you've experienced?
If if it's singing, I would say, for the voice, for singers, I can't really, for the musicians, of course, make music, put it out. But for the singers,
Mhm.
um, it's very, very important to build your voice. All my singer friends would tell you 5, 6 shows back to back, the voice takes a beating, but some sort of divine presence helped me to do this for 180 back-to-back concerts over 147 days during lockdown, which is no plus, no nothing. I was literally singing by the seat of my pants. So I realized one thing, that for singers, especially two reasons why I would say find a breathwork routine. It's for two things. One is, of course, it will start strengthening the voice and the chest system, and also we have so many lows and so many disappointments in this industry, and some sort of meditative breathwork will bring balance all around, and you have to keep doing it every day. I haven't released a lot of music online. I do it as and when. Now, I have a great partner who's pushing me. I've got great musicians around me who are helping me do it. And now I'm going to be a little more consistent with the release of music, because we're losing the stage. We're losing the amount of concerts that we used to be able to do before lockdown. So to be heard now, you have to be online. You have to start creating. But all I tell people is keep doing what you're doing, and the money and the success will come. If you're looking for millions of likes on Instagram, then I'm not the person to give you advice. But just keep doing what you're doing. Don't think about it, and create content that you would want to exist for all time, and that you would be proud of for always. I always think of my partner, my son, my mom, and the kind of music that they would be proud of. And if for singers, just keep singing. Always helps to learn a discipline. But I sing at the top of my lungs to a Western song. I've literally learned. Whitney Houston would be my teacher, because that's how I learned singing. But yeah, classical music, there is a lot to be learned from it. But what I've learned over time is that a lot of forms of music are controlling, because there are so many rules. So while you learn music, of course, to give you exercise and practice every day, also learn to find your own voice. Don't sing like an existing singer. I was taught that by my bass player when I was 15 years old. Like, yeah, everybody can sing like Whitney Houston, but what's your style? Figure your own space out, your own style out, and just sing. Don't let anybody box you in. Think outside the box and keep going. There's no right way or wrong way, as long as you're in key and you're singing, and it sounds good to you. Your ears are your biggest friend in the situation. Go for it.
You spoke about the Instagram thing and all that. So we've seen like earlier, any artist wanted to release something, it was only through some labels, and that was the only way out,
Yeah.
right? And so you've been through the whole journey. We all have seen like how the social media has entered. How do you foresee the future of independent music via this
This is
whole
the, this is
digital
the
era?
thing. This is the funny thing. I think likes on social media, unless you're being paid by a company because of the number of followers you have to put a product out, which by God's grace I still do. I've got 1.2 million on my Facebook, but I've got like 79,000 on my Instagram. So Instagram does have algorithmic blockers for you. It's never really mattered to me. I post because I enjoy it and I want to share with the world joy. It's got nothing to do with the business of music at all. My kid goes to Instagram to pick up the new sounds, but he doesn't pay for any music. So the people who are actually paying for your music are not really coming up onto Instagram to see how many followers you have. That's a brand building exercise which you do for endorsements and brand partnerships, for later. Yeah, at a really big level, like a Coldplay, to get across to your fans. But I think the real deal is Spotify. I think it's changed the way musicians are earning money in the country. I'm very excited. They put me on the Spotify Global playlist for the last song. I was lucky enough, 9XM bought the song outright, so I had already won before I'd even released. Believe in your product. Social media is not the way to go for musicians at all. The sound that you're creating in the videos, yeah, videos are again a narcissistic way of putting things up. Can you a video? It's happened. Unless you're earning money by the clicks on YouTube, just putting out a random video doesn't work. For me, it's always been a sort of a portfolio that I want to show clients, which I've done. But now, yeah, I do want to have videos that I want to keep releasing consistently, because I do want them to exist. They're great songs. They deserve a great video, visual. But at the end of the day, audio. That's the game. If you're a serious singer-songwriter, if you're a serious songwriter, musician, you want to release music, it's audio, consistent creation. I'm still getting there. Starting to right now. As I said, I'm growing younger, so I'm relearning a lot of things. But yeah, that's audio is the way to go. And right now, everything is in your hands. You don't have to worry about social media or anything. Just get your music out, get onto a Spotify, get onto an Apple, get a distributor, and get it out.
Okay, that upbeat Punjabi English track called Kithe Chali. How? Tell me more about that. How did that happen?
So, IPRS actually shut us down in the middle of my lovely concerts. They said you have to pay some serious amount of money for using a song. I couldn't stop at that point in time. I must have hit about 150 shows. So I called all my DJ friends and I said, send me your live music. And I literally made that song on the fly when I played it. And in a lockdown concert, I was doing makeup. And I heard this beat and I was like, Kithe chali kudi. And I was joking with myself and I was saying, you're putting your lipstick on. And then I said, wait a second, that's a great hook. So the original song is deep, like if you hear the starting lyric of the English paragraph, it's she's going to walk on by from a walk-on part in your life. And it was a very serious lyric, which of course when I next time bought the track, they decided to keep it easy. And Gaurav Dasgupta, brilliant guy. He logged on to the show, he literally heard it and he called me after lockdown and said, dude, that song I heard, Kithe Chali. And that kind of recall, I said, okay, this is a great track. So the incredible Twisted Bass produced it. It was his arrangement. So he just sent me the music, about 80% of what you've heard outside. And I just put this lyrics down live on the show and it was a song.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. It's amazing if this whole, I think everybody can't do it. It's like certain people are just given that possibility to do that.
I'm beginning to be told by a lot of my musician friends right now there's a bit of genius involved, and I'm like, okay, then I should recognize it. But Anish Kera flew down here for 2 days, and we literally like in 1 day of 6-7 hours of working, we finished 3 songs. He was playing me just tunes, and I was just giving him lyrics and songs, and it just So I'm glad that I have now the confidence to do it openly with other musicians and other directors. So it's a great journey. It's a great process.
Do you agree that there's a dearth of women in music composing and penning, song composing? Do you think women need to come more into
it? Enough. I think people have just been very happy being given a song by somebody else, and maybe the people who are in don't have the talent, but there are a lot of singers, female singers in music. It's just that the music festival, the music industry just pushes men all the time. It's sad to say, I've never been in an NH7 festival, and it's got nothing to do with whether I have an original song or not. I'm a kick-ass performer. It's a live show, but I've never been approached by NH7. So there you go. There's just no interest in music. There's no interest in really seeing. People don't have to be famous, but they can be really good for your project. So I think it's the men. Their mindset has to change. The industry has to change. I'm not the type of person who fights. I'm very happy being female and feminine. And there's a guy up there who's taking care of me. And yes, for me, God is masculine. For me, everything outwardly, including my car, who's called Odin, is masculine. My phone is masculine because I like to talk outwardly to the masculine and I talk inwardly to the feminine before any of the feminist movements have a problem with it. I'm that kind of feminine fighter who recognizes the divine feminine. I don't want to do things men are doing. I don't want to play the games they're playing. I don't want to go, although I'm playing cricket right now every weekend, celebrity cricket, which is great fun. But I'm very, very confident in the female that I am. And you know what? There will be a space and time, like the kind of concerts I've done. The Totem Pole Festival with Ashish Manchanda, who's a producer on my last album. He's the first Indian to be inducted into the Full Sail, which is the Mecca for sound engineers Hall of Fame. Who's connected me with Grammy winners and Grammy producers. Those guys want to record with me. So I've done shows like Totem Pole where Grammy nominees had come in from international waters to perform, which you've hardly heard of because it's not got Bollywood backing. But I've done some incredible concerts. World Military Games opening, IPL, the first season of IPL I opened. So I go on doing what I'm doing, but fighting with men for a place in their patriarchal bullshit, nah, that's not me. I'll write about it, I'll sing about it, and there will come a time when there will be a stage. In fact, I have no regrets. I already have spaces where men have not been able to outshine me. So I'm going to keep creating the music, and I think everybody needs, rather than fighting the industry and sorry to say, men who are not as multitasking and as intelligent as women are, rather than fight,
Yes, for sure.
club, create your own girls' club, yeah, like literally, and move on, and if women want more women presence in music festivals, then women need to be more present in the music scene. So, go women and stop thinking about the negatives and stop thinking about the men who really, I think if women just, everything is energy dissipation, right? If we took it away from that fight and just brought all of it into the music and just started releasing and just started being present as women in the industry, people are going to have to start releasing.
So would you like to be a part of some initiative to encourage women to actually take up new roles in this industry and actually get it? Yep.
I've got some talks that I'm doing with ladies who lead Ava Bakaya's brilliant group or forum that she started. I've done music talks all across, but this is the last panel that I was on. There was a 16-something-year-old, a 20-something-year-old, a 30-something, young 30s, and I just hit 40. And I think for the first 45 minutes, I didn't say anything because the young one's going, female musician. It's not a female musician. It's a musician, or otherwise there should be a male musician and a female musician. I mean, that's how the Grammys and the Oscars do it. Male actor, female actor. And for 45 minutes into it, the panelist looked at me and I said, listen, guys, I am that kind of feminist that recognizes the divine feminine. I still go to the start of any line and say, can I please go first? And I use all my feminine wiles. I'm not trying to be a guy, or I'm not trying to sudharo things that cannot be sudharoed. I'm trying to be me, and I will use all of me. And that means being feminine. And it doesn't mean, being put down because I want to show off my body or be in an item number, or I want to wear a bikini, or I want to be item. It's the person who's talking about it talks about being objectivized or itemized. I feel sexy and I feel really good and I'm going to do what I want to do. So let's stop with this feminist, unnecessary energy dissipation, and let's recognize the feminine and power up in it, and stop. The men have done what they've done. Yeah, we need to forge a new path for ourselves. So anytime, and I launched a 13-year-old girl on stage. I've launched other friends of mine on stage. I've got great. In fact, my core team is all women. My bandmates are all men, but they're powerhouse men. Lucky that I have, a great son, a great partner. I've been raised by a rockstar father. And I'm a single child, which says a lot for my family and how they opened a bottle of champagne the day I was leaving a very bad marriage. So I've had the power behind me. I've been through a lot of turmoil, but what's gone is gone. And if you're fighting, fight for your voice to be heard above the clutter and above the. You don't need to fight the men for a position in something they've already done. Let's do something forward and new, and let's be inclusive. It's not men versus women, it's women, and recognize the fact that you're feminine and powerful, and stop this gender bias in the first place. I know it's required for places where women are being downtrodden, where there is serious atrocities being committed against women, but it's not. We have to stop teaching our kids that you have to respect somebody or give her a chance because she's a woman unless she wants it. You have to start teaching the next generation you have to respect people because they're people. It's not about, oh, treat a woman right. You don't hit anybody. You don't raise your voice against anybody. You're not unkind to anybody. So there are the fights that have to be fought in serious situations, which are amazing. And you'll find most of those women are very, very beautiful, feminine goddesses, not trying to, cut their hair and grow mustaches and do other things, which, I mean, whatever floats anyone's boat. But I think us as musicians, especially if we've been, by the grace of God, we've healed from our traumas, we've been raised by great people, we have great love and family around us. I think we need to just get women's voices heard through our music, through talks, through panels like this. Just get out and be heard, and shine your light. Enough of the fighting and putting down and telling people you're bad. Just show your worth by yourself. That's what I've always tried to do.
Great. I'm happy we have a common friend, Ashish Manchanda. Such a lovely guy
Anjana,
to work with.
oh, yeah, really, hopefully
Yeah,
that's going to
he speaks
materialize as
also so
well.
softly, so very nice guy. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us. And can we, I mean, to a parting, can you sing something of the Kithe Challi a little bit?
Absolutely. She's gonna walk on by from a walk on part in your life. हाँ किथे चली कुड़िए किथे किथे चली कुड़िए.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.